folks, this is Alan, and I'm back with another movie review for you. Today, I thought I'd review for you a sci-fi film about surviving on the planet Mars, Red Planet, from the year 2000, starring Val Kilmer and Carrie-Ann Moss. And this was one of two Mars movies that was released in the year 2000. The other one was Mission to Mars, directed by Brian De Palma. Terrible movie. Dull, boring, stupid, terrible movie. But Red Planet was the other Mars movie that came out in 2000, and this film was directed by a director named Antony Hoffman. Anyway, the plot of Red Planet, well, tell you what, I just so happened several years ago to have reviewed Red Planet on Amazon.com, so I'm just going to read for you the plot of Red Planet as I wrote it in my review of the film for Amazon.com. The plot of Red Planet is as follows. It's the year 2057, and Earth isn't as hospitable a planet as it used to be, thanks to increasing problems in the Earth's environment. Can you say global warming? So, in an effort to save the Earth's population, a major global project has been launched to make the planet Mars a second home for us humans by making its atmosphere able to support life. But something has gone wrong with the project, and a 5-man, 1-woman crew from the U.S., with the woman as commander, have been sent to the Red Planet to investigate. And tagging along with them is a powerful 4-legged all-terrain robot named Amy that can swiftly run around like a leopard and use guerrilla tactics to defend itself. On finally reaching Mars, the crew's entry into the planet's orbit goes very awry thanks to a dangerous solar flare. With Commander Bowman forced to remain behind on the crippled ship, the 5 men crash land on the Mars surface. With no radio contact available and no immediate way to return to Bowman, who has her own problems to deal with up in the spacecraft, and with the robot Amy having been damaged in the Mars landing and is now running amok, the crew must fight for survival, solve the mystery of the Mars project, and find a way to get back to Bowman and the spacecraft. And that, folks, is the plot of Red Planet. Red Planet. Well, Red Planet was not a box office hit when it came out in 2000, nor was it a critical hit in 2000. In fact, the movie has a very pathetic rating of 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Therefore, this is a movie that I personally should also dislike. But I don't. I love this movie. I love Red Planet. As a matter of fact, Red Planet was my favorite movie of the year 2000. Is it a perfect movie? No, it does have a few mistakes in it, but overall, I think this is a really well done, wonderfully entertaining sci-fi movie, and it doesn't deserve all the hate that it got in 2000. It didn't deserve to be a box office bomb. It didn't deserve to be a critical bomb either. This is a very good sci-fi movie, and this is a way better Mars movie than the other Mars movie that came out in 2000, Mission to Mars, which Brian De Palma very poorly directed. Red Planet was directed by a guy named Antony Hoffman, who, according to Wikipedia, never directed another feature film again. This is his one and only feature film by Antony Hoffman. But I just want to say to Antony Hoffman, Antony, wherever you are, you made a great movie. As far as I'm concerned, you made a great movie. I love Red Planet. I think it's just really well done. You know, I think it's a great sci-fi adventure. I think the cast in this film is great. Great cast. I mean, you've got Val Kilmer, you've got Carrie-Ann Moss, you've got Tom Sizemore, Benjamin Bratt, Simon Baker, and Terence Stamp. And they're all really great actors, and they all give wonderful performances here in this film. You know, even though Val Kilmer he's never been one of my favorite actors, this is the one movie that I really like Val Kilmer in. He plays a really likable guy. Gallagher, yeah, he's like the maintenance guy on the crew. He's a very likable guy. You like him, you care about him, you root for his survival, and I think this is easily the best performance I've ever seen Val Kilmer give in a movie. I really do. He's great in this film. Carrie-Ann Moss, of course, Carrie-Ann Moss, famous for the Matrix movies. She plays Commander Bowman. She plays the commander of the crew. And as I said in my review of Red Planet that I wrote for Amazon.com, while it's a bit unrealistic to have a lone woman leading a crew of 5 men in space, who better a woman to lead the crew of men than the woman from the Matrix? I mean, Carrie-Ann Moss, she's perfect. what I really like about Carrie-Ann Moss in this movie is that, yes, she's the commander, and yes, she leads the crew firmly, but not overly firmly, not militaristically. I mean, she leads the crew, and she leads them as firmly as she needs to, but she's still kind and friendly, and she's still in touch with her feminine side. And as it turns out, she and Gallagher, you know, the Val Kilmer's character, that they definitely have an attraction. There's definitely a romantic spark between Bowman and Gallagher, definitely. And I like their little chemistry that they have in this movie as well. Val Kilmer and Carrie-Ann Moss, for the screen time that they have together. And yeah, Carrie-Ann Moss, she's great. The rest of the supporting cast are all great. Tom Sizemore, he's always been one of my my favorite actors. Never mind the legal problems that he's gotten into in recent years, unfortunately. He's a great actor, and I really like him in this movie, too, playing the role of Birchinall. He's the geneticist on the crew. I like him. Let's see, there's Benjamin Bratt, who plays the hothead pilot named Santon, and he's suitably hot-headed in his part. I like him. Simon Baker plays the part of the scientist, terraforming scientist Pentongill, and he's good. He's really a good guy at heart, but later on in the movie, as the crew get into danger on Mars, he goes a little funny, he goes a little paranoid, and unfortunately he does something really bad, but very good performance indeed from Simon Baker. And then finally, rounding out the cast, you have good old Terence Stamp as Dr. Chantillis. He's the wise old man of the crew, and, you know, he definitely has really good presence, and he's very wise. And I like what he says about God and, you know, finding God and finding the rock and that kind of thing. And I think he's very good in the role of Dr. Chantillis. So I like Terence Stamp very much. So I think the cast of this film is very good. Another thing that I love about Red Planet is the music. The score is done by Graham Revell, and his music in this film is terrific. Really haunting stuff. And also the soundtrack, great soundtrack. I have the soundtrack CD for this movie, and you've got great tracks from Peter Gabriel and Sting, and then you have Italian singer Emma Chaplin, and again, Graham Revell's very haunting orchestral and piano music for this film. Excellent music. What else? The visual effects. The visual effects on this film, I think, are really great. I mean, it's mostly CGI, but I think the CGI is very good, certainly for the year 2000. Very impressive. All the shots of outer space, the shot of the Mars 1 spacecraft, the robot Amy that goes amok. Some of the time she's definitely a CGI creation, but again, I think she's really scary in this movie, and she definitely poses a very deadly threat to the crew as they walk around Mars and try to survive. And even though a good chunk of the time Amy is CGI, nonetheless, she looks very real and very threatening, and she's a very, very impressive piece of visual effects, as well as all the outer space shots with the spacecraft Mars 1 and the solar flare accident, and, you know, the fire and explosions and things like that. There's also great visual effects involving the holographic machinery on board the spacecraft. Like there's several scenes where Carrie-Ann Moss is standing in front of a holographic screen, and, you know, she's just, you know, tapping it, and we see all different kinds of images and things like that on the holographic screen. I thought that was really well done. And there's also this really cool visual effect involving these holographic maps that the crew have when they're walking around Mars. They've got like these fold-out holographic maps that can project imagery on them as well, which I also thought was really cool. I also love the cinematography on this film. The cinematography was done by a guy named Peter Suchitsky, and again, all his panoramic shots of Mars and the whole, you know, rocky landscapes. Great cinematography done on this film as well. The only visual mistake that was made in this movie, I think, was the fact that you can still see white clouds in the Martian sky. Even though a lot of this movie, when they land on Mars, you know, the film is tinted red, but you can still see white clouds in the sky. There are no white clouds on the planet Mars. The visual effects team should have wiped out those clouds with digital effects, but they left the white clouds in. Oh well, but other than that, the cinematography on Red Planet is really good, and the visual effects are really good. And I just think that Red Planet is a really fun, awesome sci-fi adventure. And looking at it now, I still think it's great. I think it's a really highly entertaining sci-fi movie, and definitely a buried treasure. I am happy to see that with the passing of years and looking at other reviews of the film on Amazon.com, that it seems to me that Red Planet is now basically a cult sci-fi film, that more people have discovered it as it's been released on DVD, and it's on DVD for a very affordable price. If you buy it on Blu-ray, you can buy it for a very affordable price. And people have discovered, you know what, Red Planet, this movie deserved a much better reception. This is a much better movie than we were led to believe. And it is, folks. It is. All right. And that's my review of Red Planet. This is Alan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back next time with another movie review, and I'll see you then.